there is a place called the Test Flying Academy of South Africa. It's headquartered in Oudtshoorn, which is, I believe, in the Western Cape, which is not far away from where I was born, actually. But it's in like a kind of a remote deserted area. And what it is it's a flight training school, I suppose. And they've been linked to recruiting Royal Air Force pilots, and I presume not just Royal Air Force pilots, probably American pilots to anywhere, really, which we'll see in a minute. And they've been training the Chinese military, so the People's Liberation Army Air Force, in fighter pilot tactics and how Western fighter jets operate and all the ins and outs of, because look, here's the thing. If you're an RAF pilot, okay, Royal Air Force. My grandfather was a Royal Air Force engineer on a bomber, actually. Came down to South Africa that way on an amphibious bomber. Not that that matters, but, Royal Air Force, I'm familiar with it through my familial ties. Mm-hmm. I'm connected somehow. If you're a Royal Air Force pilot and you have been trained in fast jets and so on and so forth, you would have had access to the latest technology when it comes to fighter jets in the UK. So the Typhoons and so on, right? Not only that, but the Royal Air Force currently has F-35s as well, like the most advanced fighter, They have those, so they have training on them. They're around them. You get to learn how they work. You get to fly them. You get to do joint training with the United States and other allies, Australia, everywhere. So you're going to be learning about all the different tactics, right, that the West uses, all the dogfighting tactics, all the beyond visual range attack, scenarios, and all these very important things, how all the missiles work, how the drills work, how the scrambling works, how they take off, how the aircraft carriers work, how everything works, okay? You're privy to all of that because you train. You are the Royal Air Force. You are there to defend the UK and the UK's interests of its allies. So you are the man, you are the top gun. So China comes along and says, hey, I'll give you $275,000 if you come and train our people for whatever period of time. And you're like, sure. And you go over there. That's what's been happening. Okay. It's bad, especially since what it looks like, this Taiwan conflict is looking more and more real as time goes on with Xi Jinping's rhetoric. Yeah. So the whole point is that if this conflict kicks off over Taiwan, we're going to have allied planes involved. We're going to have F-16s and we're going to have whatever that's been sold to Taiwan, first of all. But we're also expecting a lot of the allies to step in to help with aircraft carriers and so on. Yeah. So all of the tactics, right, that are used by the allies, aircraft carrier technology, the way it all works, flying the planes, the way everything that happens, what the pilots eat, is all going to be known by the RAF pilots that are now going and training the Chinese Air Force. So it prepares them because the Chinese government, the Chinese army has no real world fighting experience, especially the Air Force pilots. Sure. They actually don't. Other than the Korean War where they were flying MiGs and they were trained by the Soviets and stuff, but that's old school stuff, right? In the modern day now, they don't really have any experience. No. So to have these very experienced, retired Royal Air Force pilots training them, it gives them that experience. It gives them the insight. It gives them all of the knowledge that they need to fight against the Royal Air Force and to fight against the American Air Force. Yeah. It's disgusting. So anyway, I took a look at this this test flight, whatever it's called. Now, again, this is kind of alleged, so I'm not going to say 100% these guys are whatever, but this is what all the reports are saying. Even the South African news itself is saying. But let's take a look. This test flight, whatever it's called here in South Africa, in Oudtshoorn. As soon as you go to the part where they talk about their consulting and so on, if you click on it, you'll see there is a Typhoon. They actually have the British Royal Air Force Typhoons on their website as a picture, right? Flight testing and consultation services. We can give you consultation on the British Typhoons because we hire RAF pilots, Now, it's important because what's happened is it looks like this flight training school in South Africa is kind of the conduit for all of this, at least the majority of it. And it looks like around about 30, that's 30 RAF pilots are either in China or have been to China to train the military there.
Yeah.
Okay, which is not a small amount.
No.
And the more you look around this website, the more you start to see the ties with China. And, of course, the Royal Air Force. Here it's kind of important if you look. They say TAFA SA's globally recruited staff. Globally recruited. In other words, from the UK, possibly from the US as well.
Yeah.
Possibly from any country.
Yep.
All right. Has the skills to collectively support all development and test programs at any level from detailed design to overall program management. So in other words, they can do whatever. We've got the skills you need is what we got, right? It's kind of worrying.
Yeah.
Hey, look, South Africa is well known for having a lot of mercenaries. And I guess in a way, this is just mercenary work.
Yeah, in a way.
In a way. It's just an extension of that. And it's a loophole, so the Chinese government can be like, we didn't directly pay them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you take a look, they talk about the helicopters and so on, because apparently it's not just fighter jet pilots from the RAF, but helicopter pilots have also been poached to go and do this. Mm-hmm. So let's see. They say on fixed wing side, they have expertise in the Typhoon, Gripen, Hawk, Tornado, Mirage F1, various fighter trainer aircraft, including the Hongdu L-15 and K-8 aircraft, as well as civil transport aircraft such as Boeing, Airbus, Dornier, and Bombardier aircraft, including the renowned Concorde. In China, this includes the civil transport aircraft AR-321 and C-919. See, already we're seeing links to China right here. So they have expertise in PLA aircraft as well, as well as these British aircraft and others.
Yeah.
So it's very clear that there's a big conflict of interest going on here.
Yeah.
And the worst part about this is that the UK is fairly powerless to do anything about this. They're trying right now to enact a new law to prevent this, because what these pilots are doing is, in my eyes, treasonous.
Yeah.
I'm sure most people would agree, because you get taught by your country to defend your country, and then you use that knowledge to equip your adversary.
Not allied country.
Yeah, your adversary who's potentially going to be in a conflict with your country on how to defeat your country. It's kind of treasonous.
Kinda?
It's kind of treasonous.
Kinda?
Yeah, and it's kind of really treasonous. Let's just hope there are no Aurora pilots on this program, because we need the Aurora to safeguard the shores of Canada.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, the more you look into this, the more it makes a lot of sense that that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Fighter and tactics instruction. And South Africa is well known for its military. It actually has a very strong military, very good. I know the SAS comes down there to train in certain scenarios and so on and so forth. And, basically the entire generation before me all went to the military. I skipped conscription in South Africa by a year.
Right.
They got rid of conscription the year before I turned 18. I would have had to go and do 2 years mandatory military service.
Right.
Everybody does it. There's a lot of military stuff going on there. Very good weapons development from Denel and so on. So this is the kind of thing you would expect to come out of South Africa.
You mentioned that the new law in the UK would strip them of their citizenship, right?
No, that's something that some people are calling for. That's not going to happen, though. It's incredibly difficult.
Okay.
You can't do that. But the whole point is, under the new law, because the UK is so humane and lovey-dovey and so on, they'll be like giving people a warning. They'll be like, no, don't do that. Oh, you sold our military tactics to China.
Gotcha.
Don't do it next time, because if you do it next time, we will prosecute you. That's pretty much what this new law is going to be. It's going to be It's going to be a one-strike law.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so if they catch you doing it, or they caught you doing it, they'll be like, hey, don't do that.
Don't be a traitor again.
Don't treason. Don't. What's the plural of treason? Don't treason. What is it?
Plural of treason. It's a verb.
So if you treasoned once,
you're using it as a verb.
I know, but I'm trying to move it into that sphere. So it's like, don't you treason twice. Yeah, don't commit treasons. You can commit a treason,
just
but not
one
two.
Treason,
but you can see on their website that they are operational worldwide, of course, because in China they're operational, and South Africa. Again, guys, I've on purpose not included the contact details of this company because I do not want any harassment or anything of them. It's not something that we're interested in, but I wanted to point out that this is the company that is being alleged to do this.
Yeah.
And by looking at their website, it's very obvious that they're doing this. You know, from the fact that
this is what you found on the reports, right?
Yeah, this was in the news articles. It's not like a
made it up.
Yeah, I found this in South African news articles.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, a lot of the other news articles in the UK, they just mention a South African training company, but this, according to the South African news, is the one.
Oh, interesting.
All right, so I did a little bit of extra
According
digging
to
for
them.
Yeah, according to the South African press.
Don't even have to say in Minecraft. You say according.
No,
to
it's
the
according to the South African press. This
yeah.
is the one that's recruiting on behalf of the Chinese government these ex-RAF pilots to go and train the Chinese military on how to defeat the RAF.
Right.
Basically.